Hi everyone, this is Ryan Hoyme, aka Massage Nerd, and here we got the legendary Sandy Fritz. Okay. Welcome. So there was a meeting last night with the ELAP.
Yes, there was.
So how did that go?
I actually was satisfied, which is a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I looked at my tag. See this tag? It's all beat up and it's twisted and all that, but here's what I came away with, is that the ELAP work group is hearing the professional feedback from this meeting. And that combined with the formal meeting last night, along with the less formal meetings in the halls. And it is my hope and my belief that they are going to reevaluate, take a look at how the process was developed, designed, and I feel they're going to listen. I explained it to Martha Menard, is that I felt like they are not digging in their feet, that they're willing to take a step forward by revisiting some of the concepts. That has yet to be seen if that actually takes place. We won't know until the final report comes out in December.
Okay.
There is a feeling among many of us that have been around a long time that the ELAP, the ELAP group, as it continues to talk about that it is data-driven, that there are different kinds of data, different qualities of data, and that at this juncture in the professional development, that there also has to be a trust in expert opinion as a form of evidence, and that there needs to be a focus on leadership as well. So if the data is inconsistent with what is commonly held belief and approach, not individualized to one person's opinion, and God knows I've got my opinion. But if it's a collectively shared opinion, then this document also needs to be part of a whole stream of information that takes the profession forward. Now, that whole stream of information is not just the ELAP. We have other documents that we have done and other things that are in process, that if we take the best of everything and we, as a collective group of experts, they call that subject matter experts, or SMEs. It's a SME. If we say, let's say that the definition of massage, the best definition we have out there, is what the MTB, Massage Therapy Body of Knowledge, put forth. And that's what we use. So that's our definition. And then if we say the standards of or the competencies that are put forth by CompTE are excellent enough to be a beginning point. And so those get into our unified statement. And then we say the Massage Therapy Body of Knowledge, knowledge scope, KSAs, knowledge, skills, and abilities, that mined data from all of the textbooks that were out. If that were put forth as the whole package of what the knowledge would look like as an entry-level massage therapist. And then the ELAP would come in and comparison and contrast between the entry-level knowledge components by the massage therapy body of knowledge, where there is overlap. You know, if everybody's outside this, on this set, ELAP's over here on something and MTBOK is over here on something, then maybe neither one of those get in. Okay?
And who's spearheading both of these organizations? Who's in charge? Or
Well, it's coming out of the leadership summit. What are they calling it now? The Coalition of Massage Organizations. I'm not positive I've got that name right. But it's coming out through a work group that was chosen by the 7 organizations. It's called a research project. I had hoped and continue to hope that a person that is truly skilled in the research process. Now, I've been assured that there are educational designers and psychometricians, but there is also a specific knowledge structure around how you conduct research. And a second review of that, just to, when it comes out to the general public of the massage, we're kind of a suspicious group, you know? And if there could be some expert opinion about the process in general that said, overall, this was well done. These are a couple of areas that were maybe not put together in the best possible process. Knowing that, this is where we are. This is how we can start with where we are. Here are the modifications that need to be made in order for it to be usable. And for the most part, it's pretty good. But there are some key areas that need to be taken a look at. Then that can follow along on that stream that I gave you for a more precise look at what would learning objectives look like. How, and then individual programs, schools, educators could then use those objectives as models for them to develop their own unique curriculum, but they would still have an inclusive core structure. Now, I felt a little dictated to by the way the course objectives or the learning objectives were written. And I think a clarification on that those were just examples. I think there's some things like that would help. But when you tell me to do a mock, the students have to do a mock scenario and they then have to come up with 2 of these things and they have to try that is a little too tight. That begins to sound more like a lesson structure that individual instructors would use. But they're valid.
Kind of like No Child Left Behind.
Yeah, they're valid learning strategies. So I think taking that could be unpalatable, you know, I can't go, I don't want you to tell me what to do. Tell me that I need to make sure my graduates, my students can perform in these ways, but don't tell me how to get them there.
Want a little bit of freedom, kind of thing.
Yeah. Then here's some examples. Here's how this comes down. I think that would go down a little bit easier. The taxonomy that they developed, I have looked at that thoroughly, and even though it is a unique creation, I think it is very workable, and it would stand up to scrutiny. And how they conducted down through that, I think, is good. But it is certainly a work in progress, as is everything.
Like everything, yeah.
But if we went from definition to competences to the broad, here's what's in the knowledge bucket from the MTBOK and CompTA to the ELAP, we could then come up with a unified design, a platform that as a profession we could stand on, that we could say, okay, world, here's who we are, and here's how we prepare our graduates to begin. We've got to do this. So none of us are going to get everything that we want. But if we care enough about this profession, we're willing to make the compromises. And that means that we don't get to have our own agenda. We've got to rise above that.
Yep. Organizations to work together.
And
awesome.
they've got to work together. And, you know, I have to say, okay, but that's not how I explained it in my book, but that can't matter.
Yeah.
All right? I have to, as an expert in the field, I have to say, well, I didn't explain it or categorize things just like that. But that can't matter right now if it is valid. I do think that the use of specific method terminology, such as deep tissue, neuromuscular, myofascial, and Swedish, I've been noisy about that. I think that is very limiting, and it creates an inaccuracy because we do not know what those mean.
Yeah.
And everybody who teaches it defines it or puts it together separately.
Yeah. Well, in Sweden, do they call it Swedish
No, they
massage?
do not. So we have to back off then to what is it that we do. Now, I didn't develop this. I learned this.
Yeah.
We structure our touch, and we are able to structure it in a variety of ways. We can go from this point to this point. We can go from this point to this point. So we can go out, or we can go down, or we can go around. Now, I defer then to mechanical forces with that. So when I go out, that creates a mechanical force, which is common knowledge now. Now I'm back to, if I say shear force to a physical therapist, a researcher, an engineer, they know that. Shear forces also are what causes musculoskeletal injury. So that has been a force application to a body. So using that purposefully. If that doesn't translate exactly in the ELAP, I'm going to be okay with that. But I can't be okay with ambiguous, trademarked things that people are calling, to my mind, adaptation. I don't know what deep tissue is. Nobody knows what deep tissue is. The whole myofascial thing has gotten so gimmicky right now that you can't look at that. There are many people out there teaching neuromuscular, and they don't have the same approach.
Yeah.
I can't do that, so I've got to get more generic. I've got to come back. And
Just call it massage.
Let's call it massage, and adaptations in how deep or how long or in what direction can then be targeted to more influence the connective tissues or more influence the partnership between the nervous system and muscle function. And I may not get everything that I want there, but I would hope that it's heard, and I am confident that it has been heard. So I don't want this thing I think it's an important piece, but we have other important pieces in order for us to have a unified statement.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. Now, the Federation is also working on a Model Practice Act, and the ELAP was to inform the Model Practice Act. And that's where the hours thing comes from. And you know what? We're going to have to deal with this hours thing. I'm not stomping around doing my about the hours thing because we have to have some sort of reasonable expectation because that's how the legislation issues. No, we're down at the very most basic fundamental entry point at licensure. However, the Model Practice Act, while it will take each state to go through a legislative process to alter and adapt their own individual licensing, is going to define massage, and it is going to set scope of practice, and it is going to determine educational qualifications, and it is going to determine the box that massage is able to work in. And even though it is a model act, it is going out to a targeted group of people. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm in favor of this. I have been asking for a Model Practice Act for many, many years. But I want to see it in process. I want to look at their draft material. I want to see where they're going. I want to have input as it progresses and not wait until it comes out at the end and say, okay, you got 2 weeks to comment on this. I don't want that. Let's not do that.
Give us some time kind of thing, so it's not last minute.
All right, so, and I think that's kind of, people are all kind of overwhelmed by the ELAP, but they're not seeing, the class I was in with Kate and Tony, the accreditors, they said, where's the puck going? Where's the puck going? Listen, characters, it's going towards this model licensing, and that's not bad. But it's also going to define us, and we need to, for the Affordable Care Act, if we want to be team players in that regard, if we want to create a better outcome for our clients, if we want to be able to support researchers to be able to understand more about what we do, we have to consider all of those elements. And I'm frustrated, but I'm not discouraged. I believe that the people that are involved are self-serving, just exactly the way I am, but I think they all can rise above that and think about the next generation, not us, but the next generation, where they're going to be, what world are we going to offer them when they go out into the massage practice. And I believe that the organizations will hear because they have to hear and they have to respond. Mm-hmm. And we can't fool around much longer.
Yep.
We can't do that. But we can't just put something out there because we have to put something out.
Yeah.
We have to be careful that what we put out there, even in model practice acts or suggested curriculums or whatever, people take that stuff literally.
Do you think it would help if we kind of have a summarized of all that information? Just because so many people, I mean, they have ADDDD kind of thing, and they just
people are the profession's very uninformed, which has been one of my motivations to keep posting on Facebook and keep talking and even writing some blogs that were a little provocative because people are not responding.
Yeah.
And duck on it. But if they are so insular or so isolated that they don't even know, then I don't know, is that a representative data set? If you just look at what I stomp around and say, I think I'm excellent, but I am not representative of the total population. And so Laura Allen and I can go through the whole crazy thing. But that's Laura Allen and I.
Yeah.
And we're really good.
Yeah.
But but that group's not necessarily just going to listen to Laura Allen and I. And so the ELAP project has until middle of August, so people need to get on there and do something about that. The Model Practice Act is ongoing. People need to make their wishes known that they want to follow that in a transparent situation. That progress should be posted. That when you wait to let people know what's going on, for example, that the AMTA was or was not active in moving toward compliance with the Affordable Care Act. Well, some of us that are out there well, how come? What's going on? How come you didn't do that? Well, they were doing something, but they didn't tell us.
Yeah.
Don't do that, y'all. Yeah. Don't work behind closed doors. Don't do that. You don't have to give us all the details when something's just messy, but say, we are looking at this, and then here's the report of how we are looking at it. It's still a mess, And I think that the profession needs an advisory council of elders that have been around, done that, been there, done it again, went around, have really cared, and that these things need to be run through us, not just to see how we react. And we will then, just as information, if 5 of us on this group of 25 go, then you should look. Yep. If one does, maybe not. But I would like to see something like that formed.
Yes, definitely. But definitely start following you if you haven't, and then also Laura Allen and stuff to get up to date on all the.
We try. Yeah. I think Laura does a little bit better job. She has a focus and a passion on political things. And then certainly I follow her blog religiously, and if there's something that shows up that had missed my scrutiny, then I will support that or repost her blog or encourage people to do it. I try to look at things in a informational thing. Like Laura brought up the idea that the ELAP, this, and this, and then I went and said, now maybe that process is that process needs to be looked at a little bit. It doesn't mean we're going to throw it out, but in any kind of research, in any kind of thing like that, there's a bias structure that has to be considered, and so I think we complement each other really well on that.
Yes, definitely.
Or I might come up with something that, and then she'll jump on it. But we shouldn't be the only ones. Mm-hmm. But we really care, and we try. We really try to be as unbiased and as accurate as any human being can be. And when we post something and you think there's value there, whether you agree with it or not, I mean, put a post in there, I don't agree with you, but share it so that this information is disseminated.
Comments and stuff like that.
Because people aren't, it's amazing to me, the people that don't know. They don't even know what they don't know.
Yeah.
So, and you do a wonderful job too. I mean, you are a great conduit for
getting the voice out there.
You do, and we really need you, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks.
And your little show, I love being on your show. And we need more. We need more people who will take that commitment on. But that doesn't mean those of us that haven't, or those of us that have, should go, well, nobody else, I'm just going to give up and go do my own thing. We don't get to do that. If we hold ourselves out there as experts in the field and authors or board members or whatever, then we don't get to quit. We don't get to do that.
Yeah, with myself too, I get so frustrated with the whole politics kind of thing, and I just sometimes say I just can't deal with it kind of thing. So it's just like I need to get more involved and find out what's going on.
But we also can't do everything.
Yeah.
So we have to we have to work together. This really needs to be a team. We're all busy, and we can't, I mean, it took me over 2 weeks of pretty much full-time effort. It just so happened I had that space. But I had to also make that space to go through that ELAP, every single piece, read that stuff over and over. And I've talked to a couple of people who have even working on scrutinizing more than I did. I'm so pleased. And I hope that they come forward and speak their mind on that. Because I am open to being wrong, honest to God. There are many times when I hope I'm wrong. And it's really sad in some of these situations when I'm accurate. You know? But we can't do everything either, Ryan. And we get tired, and we have our own families, and we have our own health to consider. So I'm looking for the next generation. You're part of that, but who's going to follow you?
Yep, exactly.
I'm really worried about that. I have a very deep concern. There's a real gap in leadership right now, I think. And you can't just have us old people around.
But we still have to respect our elders.
Don't you dare do anything without us. But, I mean, there's a whole collection of us that are out there, and we're 60. I just turned 60. And
you don't look a day over 59.
I know. My whole, we're the people that are 50, and we're the people that are 40, and we're the people that are 30, and we're the people that are 20 that are going to still be here 40 years from now when they're 60.
And it seems like a lot of people getting into the field are so much younger now too. So hopefully they can stay in the field even longer too.
Well, but there are barriers to that for them. We've got to do something different about this meeting structure. These young people, they can't afford to pay a seminar. They can't afford to be here, even if they have a passion. So why can't, for example, meetings, face-to-face meetings, be held every 3 years, like the foundation does with their research conference, and it's staggered, so only one large meeting is held every year, and the others are done through a synchronous webinar type process like the World Massage Conference does. Why can't we do that? The technology is there to do that. And people can afford to do that.
And with my show, I mean, I actually stream it on YouTube, so anybody can do it.
That's exactly right. And there can be feedback.
Yeah.
And then maybe they can create centers of discussion where I would be willing to do that. I have the facility, I would donate that. And so that there is some face-to-face, there's some stuff that goes on to that. People can navigate to that, and that can feed back. But we've got this is old think, and those young people that we so desperately need, they flat out can't afford to be here. But that's the bottom line.
And especially taking time off. I mean, typically things are like 3 days long, plus you have to getting here and getting back, so it's 5 to 6 days.
That's right, and you don't want to throw this platform out. But we also have to realize that there are other platforms, and we've got to get much more proactive about that. We're losing people, and there's nothing like giving you a hug, Ryan, in person, and I would never want to not have that. But we also can communicate really well through the airwaves. So there needs to be a blend of both here.
Everything's there, so it's time to take advantage of it.
So that's another thing, is where's the puck going? We need to revisit this type of format. And it's expensive for the organizations too. and it's cumbersome. And it's not representative of our population either. It's biased by self-selection, and it's hard to be in a situation where you feel like you're making decisions for people without kind of knowing. I made my students, bless their hearts, when I was teaching, I happened to be teaching an ethics piece, and so I pulled up the ELAT piece, and I made them go through every single one of those things on the ELAT, and they were yawning, and they were whining, and they were laying on the couch or on the tables, and they were dropping off, and they were. And I looked at them and I said, "You know what? It's not always fun, but I am teaching you to be leaders. You may not know that, but I do. And part of that is you got to do this stuff. You got to stick with it." And they had some extraordinarily good feedback from their perspective. And I've done that since the thing came out. I've made my students look at it too, because they got to learn. How many schools are doing that? I challenge the schools in the next 3 weeks that this thing is still up. Do that.
Yeah.
That's a form of feedback that's really good. And it was excellent. We had excellent discussions around ethics on that. And then we did the business one when that came up. And we did the forms and styles. I did that with my advanced group. And they had different feelings about things than I did, even though I worked really hard to bias them.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion, which is biased, but I think it's a good one.
Yeah. And then how do people follow you and get a hold of you?
Well, you can you can link to a lot of stuff or click to a lot of stuff from the webpage, which is sandyfritz.info. And then I'm on Facebook. There's 2 pages on there that I can't figure out how to get rid of one. But there's one where I've got this black and white top on.
Okay.
Don't do that one.
Okay, so no over the black and white top.
Do the other. And then the school, Health Enrichment Center, School of Therapeutic Massage and Body Work. We have a page. Go like us. And then I double post. Well, I post everywhere.
Yeah.
I haven't quite figured out all of that, so I just keep posting.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3 or 4 times in the same spot.
Yeah.
But that would get you into the school, which would get you to me through the staff at the school.
Okay.
And follow the blog. And I don't want you to agree with me all the time. But I do try to inform, and then people can make their own opinions about that. And Laura Allen, too.
Yeah.
And there are some others. Laura's got a list of bloggers on her website that she thinks do good work. And so, but don't believe everybody. That's one of the tenets in research, is don't just believe it. Don't take anything just at face value. You want to question, and you want to talk to multiple people, and you want to don't do the guru thing. Even though we're elders, and you should listen to everything we say. On the other side of that is you also need to question everything we say.
Yeah.
Not to be obnoxious, but to learn to think and to learn to justify your position. So, and if any of us that hold ourselves out there as leaders in the field are not open to that, then don't pay attention to those people.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Go talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
Not because they agree or disagree with you, or you agree or disagree with you, but they're willing to engage you in the conversation.
Yeah.
And if they won't, then they're not a leader as far as I'm concerned. How do you like that for an opinion?
Thank you very much. Hug. Yeah.
Wow.
Thanks, everyone.